Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to another edition of Tone's Market Analysis for Wednesday, April 26th. This is attempt number 2. I had sound issues on the first one where no one was able to hear me. So hopefully this time around, everything is good. Waiting on some live viewers to confirm. Is everyone hearing it? Is everyone seeing the video? Excellent. So now it seems to be working. All right, getting a little bit of a late start, but that's okay. So the blog is still slowly being updated. Not really a big deal there, but just as a heads up on my travel schedule, I will be going to Toronto for the next meetup, which is Monday, May 8th. I will not be speaking at that event. I spoke at the last event, but I am planning on being in Toronto. So if you are at that event, feel free to come by, say hi. I will be somewhere in the audience. All right, we got a lot to get to today, especially the AntBleed revelations that just came out right before I started doing this show. But before that, I am gonna talk about the traditional markets real quick, also because most of the people joined the show later on. Right now, I have about 75 viewers, and I usually get up to 200. So most viewers come in after I already start talking about Bitcoin, okay? So some of these links will take a minute to load. I had to restart my entire computer, pull everything back up. That's why it took a little bit of time. Right now, I am neck deep in trading. So major Bitcoin news happening, this week, next week is really not ideal for me. I'm kind of in trading mode right now. It's way more important to me. It's actually how I make the money to pay bills, because donations for doing videos don't really, they don't cut it. I actually didn't get a single donation between last video and this video, but I don't depend on that as income, right? I depend on my trading as income, which is why I don't tweet as often and I don't really do stuff because, that's my job. My other option is, going back to Wall Street, which I don't know, after being unemployed for 2 years and doing Bitcoin, it doesn't seem as bad anymore. It's just a weird, a lot of things change. Sure miss the money I used to make, I'll tell you that much right now. Anyway, so let's just talk about the markets. So today was it started off as another huge day in the stock market with the run up, but then it sold off towards the end. Today was also the day the Trump administration were going to announce their tax plans. I know a lot of people were waiting for the market to go up on the news, but again, no matter how many times you tell people, they just don't believe it. Markets move on rumors. Markets move on anticipation of the news. Same thing in Bitcoin, same thing in traditional markets, same thing in gold. When the news comes out, the news better beat expectations by a freaking mile. If the news doesn't beat expectations by a mile, the complete opposite happens. So today, which was another day for people to jump in the markets, it pulled back. Now, you see these gaps right here? These gaps are absolutely massive. The stock market is acting very, very strange right now. Look, you see this yellow line, and then you see these two yellow lines. It wasn't able to close below this upper yellow line, and it wasn't able to breach the second yellow line. I've been saying for a while, as long as it's in between these lines, this is the no trade zone. This bearish trade, by the way, was never entered. I attempted it down here, I moved it up there, and then I moved it for the third time. I moved this trade twice to go short the stock market if it actually made new lows, but it never did. So this is one of those trades that did not work out. So I'm going to delete it, and because it never took place anyway. And unless you were, buying Bitcoin here, and there was absolutely zero technical reason, sorry, not Bitcoin, stock market, unless you were buying the stock market right here, and there was zero technical reason to buy the stock market. The only reason you were buying the stock market is because of the outcomes of the French election and also the Trump tax plan. So unless you were actually buying it on fundamentals, there was zero technical reasons to buy it technically. It broke down from the triangle. It was under the 50-day moving average. There was like nothing there, right? And then when it went to the upside, it gapped. So unless you jumped on it early, which was risky, I would have never done it. So we're back in this no trade zone. So let's see how it develops. If the market goes up and it gets above 2,400, it'll probably be a little bit overextended because I strongly believe in sell in May and go away. It's a seasonal downturn for the stock market, and it usually works that way. So last time I drew this triangle, and I clearly stated that even though this is a bearish triangle, it needs to go under this triangle in order to trade it to the downside, and it never did. It broke to the upside, which happens. So, I mean, I can leave the arrow. I can leave the triangle. That's fine. The triangles break to the upside like 35% of the time. And when they break in the opposite direction of expectation, they usually have a more violent move than in the expected direction. So it shouldn't be a surprise that we're back a smidge under all-time highs. And let's see what happens the rest of the week. If we go to all-time highs, we're probably going to have divergence. Your momentum is still trending to the downside. So we'll see how that goes. All right, I'm going to close the markets here. All right, gold. So gold fell out. I know I drew this zone in hindsight because this wasn't really tradable. But under normal market conditions, gold and S&P, they go in opposite directions. They're pretty negatively correlated under normal market conditions. Now, if we have a highly inflationary environment, gold and the stock market will rise together. If we have a financial panic, gold and the stock market will fall together. That might sound weird, but you have to look at it this way. Gold is a luxury item. If the stock market crashes, that means companies are doing bad. If companies are doing bad, people get fired. If everyone's getting fired, no one cares about buying gold. This is why in 2008, gold and the stock market crashed. When companies went out of business, no one's going to buy gold. People are it's more important for them to buy food. Okay, so I'm not going to just go back to old videos where we talked about all this and why this high was going to be hard to realize. I don't want to spend too much time on gold. I really do want to get to Bitcoin myself. There is so much to talk about in Bitcoin. Here is the weekly gold, and deleted this. No, I'm going to zoom in. So there's like multiple Fibonacci's here, and I'm going to zoom in on this weekly chart because I remember like about a month or two ago, I deleted this Fibonacci from this high, from the 2016 high to the 2016 second end of year low. I deleted the set of Fibonacci's because they were cluttering my chart. And it was kind of unfortunate because if I put this Fibonacci back on yesterday, and this Fibonacci happened to be almost exactly where the current rebound stopped, but the rebound also stopped at a declining trend line, which is what I said was most likely to happen. So gold is pulling back, and once gold starts breaking these trend lines, it's only going to get worse. So I am right at the moment, I am way more bearish gold than I am bullish gold. And the only way that's going to change is if we break above 1,300. But in reality, we really need to break above 1375 in order for me to be really bullish gold. And as long as we're here, I'm going to stay bearish gold. All right, let's close the gold charts. Let me see what's going on in the futures market real quick. Piece flat. Yeah, it's just a weird ending to the day. I'm going to close that too. Okay, here's oil. I'm not sure if this trade was actually entered. It was going to be a bullish trade with a very, very tight stop. I'm too lazy to zoom in on this. And I have no clue if it entered or not. So we'll find out later. But go back to last week's video when I threw this trade on. And if it entered and it knocks you out, well, it's a very, very tiny loss, but you're still looking for a hefty gain. All right, not much to say. We're at support at the 50-day, still looking for this realization of the inverse head and shoulders. I will get to your questions, guys, but don't ask your questions yet. I don't have Rich to help me in compiling those questions. So I'll give you the cue to start asking questions so that I don't have to scroll through the entire chat, which makes it very, very difficult for me. All right, let's close that. All right, Euro USD. I think that's it, guys. I'll adjust this trade. I'm really looking bearish euro, and I think that pop was temporary. It was all about the French elections. Please watch the hour-and-a-half video from Sunday where I talked about the French elections. I'm not going to get into it today. Like I said, I want to get to the Bitcoin. So yeah, I mean it's bearish, but timing trades is probably even more important than an idea of where the trade's going to go. This is still looking good. This is the long the pound versus the euro. This trade should have made a bunch of money if you entered it. Though this isn't trading advice, this is just what I would do if I was trading. And I just try to educate people on what a good risk-reward ratio is. And it's looking like it's forming a weekly doji, but it doesn't really matter because it's not an uptrend. And it's right at the 50-week moving average from below. And if it starts to go up, this is why we set break even or just in the money stop losses. Nothing there. Okay, Bitcoin. Let's talk about the technical picture of Bitcoin first, and then we'll I need to close my YouTube. Let's talk about the technical picture of Bitcoin first. Don't even ask your questions yet. I'm going to talk a bunch about Bitcoin, and then I'll take your questions. So here's the weekly chart. Here's Bitstamp. And we're at a weekly all-time high close. This is very, very significant. Very significant, right? The all-time weekly high on Bitstamp is 1350, and I remember when that happened, it was like a flash up move. The weekly closing high on Bitstamp is 1273. Right now, we are at 1298. The weekly close is Sunday night. If we close weekly above 1273, that's it. This is the open air I've been talking about. I've been bullish Bitcoin for at least 5 months now, and I think that the move up is going to accelerate. Again, this is a technical view. This has nothing to do with the fundamentals of Bitcoin. This has nothing to do with the fundamentals or technicals of altcoins. Completely irrelevant. Has nothing to do with Bitmain. Completely irrelevant. This is looking at a chart, not even knowing that this is a Bitcoin chart. What I can tell you is this looks incredibly bullish to me. Okay, 1500 and beyond. There is nothing here to worry about except maybe divergence of the RSI. But if we bust out, that's going to go back to the upside, right? Like divergence in the RSI is not as critical on the way up. It's only critical if we, go down. Like if this continued to go down, then the divergence between this top down here on the RSI, I don't know if I can make a better cursor. Maybe a dot would be better. Yeah, that might be better. I hope you guys can see the dot. I wonder if I can make it bigger. Or an arrow, maybe? Yeah, maybe you guys can see the arrow. Right. So this high in the RSI is bigger than this high in the RSI, but it only makes sense when we're going down. If we're going back up, you don't know how high this is going to go until it turns. So it doesn't worry me until we actually top somewhere. Maybe we topped 2 hours ago, but nobody knows. So as long as we're going up, the trend is your friend. Stay up. Here's the Brave New Coin Liquid Index. Again, let me get an arrow here. And you see the white dots, the round dots, and that's my green arrow. I keep repeating myself. I drew this green arrow in late January, early February. I expected Bitcoin to have a hard time breaking above 1150, and I expected it to break out in mid-April and go all the way up to 1500 and probably higher, where my prediction as of January 3rd was a Bitcoin price of 2000 by mid to late August. Okay, so let's see if that happens. So far, we're right on the arrow. In fact, we're going up even slower than I expected because that arrow is pretty damn steep. Maybe I drew it a little steeper than I should. Okay, so looking good. And on the Brave New Coin Index, the intraday high is 1320, and the closing high is not even above 1300. So probably by end of day today, the Brave New Coin Liquid Index, which looks to me still correctly factors in Bitfinex, seems to be a very good barometer for a price. Okay, here's the channel. And we're looking good. I drew this arrow in late January or mid-January. What am I saying? I drew this green arrow in mid-January at the Miami event when I gave this presentation at the hackathon. And this is Bitfinex, which to me is a perfectly legit price. I mean, if you go into local Bitcoins and onto the street, you ain't getting anything better than 1405. If you're buying them from me, I'm going to ask for 16 to 1700. So you probably don't want to buy it from me. And we're clearly at all-time highs on Bitfinex. However, to me, it's not an all-time high unless it's an all-time high across all exchanges, all of them. Even ones that no longer exist, but that were valid at the time. And that's why 1242 was always my all-time high, because that was the Mt. Gox price on November 29, 2013. Okay? And right now, to me, Bitcoin is not an all-time high until Bitstamp breaks 1350, which it might even do by morning. Okay? But the technical picture on the daily chart, it looks like we're probably going to hit the top of this channel sooner or later. Preferably later than sooner, but we'll see what happens. All right, I'll get to the spread after. Okay, here is the hourly chart. Actually, I don't even want to move it. maybe a little bit. Here is the hourly chart of Bitfinex. And again, the reason why it's Bitfinex is because I'm not going to spend my time redrawing this damn thing on Bitstamp. I mean, these things take time, right? If someone wants to take Tone up on his consulting service, I'll gladly create any chart you like, and then those charts may be used for these shows so that everyone can benefit in the future. That's one way that people can contribute to the show by commissioning me to make charts and then talk about them. This is how I ended up talking about altcoins, by the way. So here it is. I drew this. Let me move this down. So I drew this arrow and I tweeted this out like a week ago, maybe more than a week ago. Okay, and I said once we break above 1250, the target becomes 1500. I mean, the arrow is even pointing to 1600, but let's not count our chickens quite yet. So, and the reason why this target is 350 is because that is the depth of this fall. Okay, so this fall was all the way down here, and this is 200, and this is another 150. Add those up, very simple, 350, and boom, I'm looking for a $350 move in the price of Bitcoin after breaking the 1250 line, and we're already at 1400. Yes, I understand it's Bitfinex, and yes, I understand they have a cash problem, but technicals are technicals, fiat problems are fiat problems. They're irrelevant, right? I am looking at a technical chart with absolutely no regard for the asset class I'm looking at. This is what people need to understand, okay? All right, let's talk about this real quick. Again, on the last show, I talked about it in depth. Clearly, Bitfinex and Tether are still having problems. Let me see what the price of Tether is these days. Dates. It's still trading at 8 cents below 8% below parity. Okay, that's fine. That explains it. It's either there's a 9% difference, 8% difference in the price. Tether is trading at an 8% discount. That fully explains your price disparity. And I talked about this at length on the last video. So if anyone is watching this that didn't see it on the last video, please watch episode 51, where I talked about all these relationships. Okay, so hold off on your questions. Let's talk about a couple of things. So I'm going to go to my Twitter. And before we get to AntBleed, a couple of things, right? So I during earnings season, I don't have much time to tweet, which is why they're more selective. I found out there is one Bitcoin ATM in Staten Island. It is literally in the worst possible neighborhood, potentially on the worst possible corner of the entire borough and island of Staten Island. I found this to be incredibly ironic. Okay, so here are your projects, and there's like 2 more buildings behind them. And I know this neighborhood real well. I used to live walking distance from it when I was, fresh out of college, and also, had a relationship with someone that lived literally across the street from the street. Okay, so yeah, so I know this neighborhood real well. So I found that to be very ironic, and that should tell you that Bitcoin ain't for your cups of coffee at Starbucks. Okay. Now, let's talk about this. So Roger Ver sent out that he's starting a Bitcoin pool, which looks like cloud mining. So here is Roger getting into cloud mining. I'm not sure exactly how a 3-month plan is popular, considering it is coming soon. So how is a cloud mining plan that doesn't yet exist already popular? But of course, cloud mining is pretty much a scam. And I do want to cover cloud mining on an episode of Crypto Scam. But what I want to point people to is, I tweeted it out right here. I can click on the link, but I have it open in another tab. Here is Roger Ver debating Joby Weeks, who is, I believe, a co-founder of BitClub, which is cloud mining. And Roger explains why cloud mining is bad. I'm almost done listening to it myself because it's been a year, and I don't remember like the little details. I don't remember if Roger actually called cloud mining a scam, but he came as close as you could without calling it a scam if he didn't actually call it a scam. And he talked about how mining is not actually profitable and how mining isn't smart. And yet, here he is on Twitter offering you his cloud mining service. Okay, so just wanted to point this out to people. Here's the other problem, right? So for people saying how Bitcoin is not decentralized and Bitcoin Unlimited is the way to go, we already talked about how Bitcoin Unlimited only has like 8 developers versus 100+ developers for Bitcoin Core. Here's the other issue. People involved in building these mining pools and this cloud mining, the same people, and I think Darkpill tweeted this out, the same people who are building this mining business for Roger, they're the same people administering Bitcoin.com. So now you have the same people involved in mining as owning media. And the same people want to control core development. It's all the same people. So the same people are telling you to trust them, to control media, to control Bitcoin code, to control mining. And these miners are in works of building an exchange. So now they're going to control the Bitcoin trading and Bitcoin price. And we all know that Roger Ver is the biggest investor in, what do you call it? In the biggest wallet, which is blockchain.info, which is a terrible wallet. I haven't used that wallet since 2014 when it actually lost me a Bitcoin, okay, back then. So, so it'll be the same people. It's all the same people. And these people are trying to convince you that a Bitcoin core is trying to hijack Bitcoin, just so you know, okay? Now, let's talk about why Bitcoin popped over the last 2 days, okay? And the answer should be obvious. Let me go to CoinDance. I think it's coin.dance. Oh, I was wondering what that random sound was in my background. Hope no one was actually able to hear that through the mic, but it was playing the, I think it starts about 45 minutes when Roger comes in to talk about it. Okay, let me, I was looking at coin.dance. Right, so let me look at nodes. And while that loads, I want to pull up picture I tweeted out a little while ago, which I can't seem to find. Man, where did it go? Ah, here it is. All right, so let's talk about this. I know I've mentioned this several times. So every time Bitcoin gets momentum, hostile actors come in and try to hard fork Bitcoin because they know best, and the price immediately drops fast, and the price bottoms and starts to go up when the number of hostile nodes crash. It happened, I'll zoom in. It happened right here with Bitcoin XT and Mike Hearn. When it's announced, the price crashes, and when nodes start to disappear, the price immediately bottoms and goes up. It happened again right here with Bitcoin Classic. The price starts to fall when news comes out that hostile actors, and for Bitcoin Classic, they're all named right here. Okay, Coinbase, Bitstamp, Circle, Jeff Garzik, Roger Ver, Gavin Andreessen. So when people want to hard fork Bitcoin and create two Bitcoins, the price of Bitcoin crashes, and the price of Bitcoin finally starts to go up again when the number of nodes eventually crash, right? So right here is when the number of nodes reached its peak. And right here, when it starts to go up real quick, the number of nodes crashes. So you're looking at this. Okay. So this brings us to the current situation where the price of Bitcoin completely crashed when Bitmain started supporting big blocks, which they don't even want. We now know why that is. It all had to do with ASIC boost. And then the price bottomed and started to go up when Bitcoin unlimited nodes found to be very buggy and they all crashed. The price rebounded. Okay. And ever since then, every time big blocks and Bitcoin Unlimited gained momentum, Bitcoin would fall. Every time segregated witness would gain momentum, Bitcoin would rise. And Litecoin, everyone saw what happened with Litecoin. And remember what I said immediately after ASIC Boost came out. After ASIC Boost, and this is important because this brings us into AntBleed. Okay. The moment ASIC Boost came out, I said this is a huge positive for Bitcoin because now we have clarity. Now we understand why Antpool didn't want segregated witness as a soft fork because it takes away their mining competitive advantage. And at the time, I had no idea if Roger Ver was taken for a fool by not knowing Bitmain's competitive advantage. Because Roger is starting up a Bitcoin mining pool, it is very, very obvious that Roger knew all about what do you call it, ASIC Boost and the competitive advantage, and he was working with Jihan. Completely knew all about it. I mean, this is obvious. This is not even. This is insanely obvious to me as a speculator. This is insanely obvious. Okay, so over the last 2 days, Bitcoin price has really, really skyrocketed, and that's because of this. That's because of this. Okay. Now, as you can see, the Bitcoin nodes are now back up to where they were, but it doesn't matter because they were falling, and it's once again proven how incompetent Bitcoin Unlimited code is. It's just complete. It's just a complete disaster. So this showed no confidence in Bitcoin Unlimited and showed great confidence in Bitcoin Core. So the price of Bitcoin goes up. And this brings us right into AntBleed. Okay, so AntBleed, which was published about an hour or so before I was going live with this. Full disclosure, I knew for about, I don't know, earlier today that this was going to get published, and I was waiting for it to get published so I can talk about it, right? Because I'm not going to spread rumors. I'm going to wait for it to be published. I'm going to wait till there are links, because I have no idea if this is true or not. I have no idea if this is FUD. I leave that up to more qualified people and developers more qualified people and developers to verify this kind of information once it goes live on a website or it goes live in some article. I would never disclose my anonymous sources that tend to tell me this stuff as a heads up sometimes. And by the way, a lot of the time, people want to tell me private information, and I turn them down. I say, you know what? I don't want to know, because I don't want it to influence my videos and what I say to people. So it's great that this was released before I was doing this video, because it would have been very difficult for me to do this video knowing this information and not be able to talk about it, because it's unsubstantiated. I have no idea if it's FUD or not. I have no idea if someone is playing a joke on me by telling me something that's going to make me look stupid. But anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent here. So basically what it means is that AntBleed miners is basically a spy box in your house. So if you bought Bitmain Antminer, well, I personally don't think you're all that, it's very bright to buy somebody else's miners, because you're always at a disadvantage of mining. But people should now be very irate at Bitmain and Jihan Wu, because he basically put not only a spying device in your hardware that can track where you are, he also put a chip that can turn off your hardware that wastes the money that you bought from them. So they're pretty much, I judge for yourself if that's a scam or not. But basically, you potentially bought hardware that can be rendered useless by one guy, and whatever he feels like turning off your personal miner. Okay. Now this should be huge, because this would, again, this is going to even out the playing field. No one should be buying their miners. People might be asking Bitfury to start selling their miners, but this is a problem. Now, before people say this is why we have altcoins, that is stupid, because anything that is happening with Bitcoin can happen to an altcoin only 10 times worse. So this problem will be fixed on Bitcoin. And if it comes to it, then the Bitcoin core will change proof of work and render everybody's miners and ASICs useless, right? Because clearly your ASIC is now useless anyway, because it's under full control of Bitmain and most likely the Chinese government. I find it very difficult to believe that a private company without government intervention would put this kind of a backdoor into its hardware, because it just makes absolutely no sense as a private company. But then again, look at the CEO of Bitmain. So it's very, very possible that he did that without the Chinese government's intervention. But you don't know. That's the last unanswered question, right? So the question now becomes, did Roger Ver know about AntBleed? And if I had to suspect at this point, I would say that he did know about AntBleed. That's why he's so confident, and his cloud mining is better than everybody else's cloud mining. So now the question is the Chinese government involved with Bitmain? And if it's discovered that it is, then user-activated soft fork will most likely come sooner than later, and a proof of work change to eliminate all ASICs and remove Bitmain and relegate Bitmain into the history books of how to run a failed Bitcoin company that some people think that some people have recently said was the most profitable Bitcoin company that ever existed. How to turn them into the history books and cause them to lose all of their investments. Of course, that would piss off Bitfury, but hey, we need Bitcoin to survive. So the question on everyone's mind right now that are watching me is, what does this mean for the price of Bitcoin going forward? And that's a good question. So here's my answer. I was very adamant that ASIC boost was going to be a huge positive for the price of Bitcoin for two reasons. One, Bitcoin was at a low and people were very, very lost as to what the hell is going on. The space already has all the clarity it needs. Anyone with an IQ over 100, or preferably anyone with an IQ over 50, should know that SegWit is good and Bitcoin Unlimited is the worst possible thing for Bitcoin, unless you have a hidden agenda, right? If you were on the fence between big blocks and segregated witness, and you're still on the fence, I'm sorry, you're just you're an idiot. I don't talk to me, don't tweet at me. I'm not going to entertain the conversation. Okay, but right now the space pretty much has clarity. The space pretty much has clarity. So how do I what do I say about the price of Bitcoin now that AntBleed has been discovered? Well, it's neutral. It's not bearish for Bitcoin and it's not bullish for Bitcoin. Okay, here's why it's not bearish for Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin is still miles above any other competitor. Any other competitor is either an outright scam or a significantly inferior version of Bitcoin with very little competent developers, unlike the competent developers in Bitcoin Core. So if a problem 10 times smaller than this problem arose in an altcoin, the altcoin is pretty much done. Okay. So our core developers will have a roadmap on how to deal with this issue very, very soon. And if Jihan turns off all of those miners, it wouldn't be the smart thing to do. Let's just put it that way. Okay. And Bitcoin will be fine. Now the difficulty, so Bitcoin it'll take like 3 hours to find a block, and then difficulty will reset, and that's fine. Okay. So Bitcoin will find a way. All right. So it's not bearish news for Bitcoin. It's also not really bullish news for Bitcoin, because it means that Bitcoin mining has a bit of a problem right now. And until the playing field needs to be evened out, people are going to be skeptical. And here's why Bitcoin is going to continue to go up into the summer. And this is what I've already said before, and I'll say it again, and it's just like the stock market. Right now, Bitcoin is climbing a wall of worry. As more and more people become skeptical and scared of Bitcoin, other people have no freaking idea these internal problems exist. And they will continue to buy Bitcoin because they need Bitcoin and they see the price at an all-time high and they can't, give up the FOMO, fear of missing out. Okay. In the meantime, all of the shitcoins that has had money go into them because of Bitcoin's problems, all of that money has not yet left all of those shitcoins back into Bitcoin because they're scared because of Bitcoin's internal problems, without realizing that the altcoin they're holding is a hot potato and is completely useless, like no use cases at all, other than Ethereum that now has a use case of building ICO scams on top of it. Okay. So also, people that panic sold on this down move, that said they will come back to Bitcoin if it goes back above 1,200 or 1,300. I cannot possibly see them getting back into Bitcoin right now, because if they got scared a month ago when I was telling people not to be scared, if people were scared a month ago when it was falling, thinking it's going to keep falling, why would they be confident in Bitcoin today getting in at a higher price? Mentally, these people don't understand why Bitcoin is at an all-time high, and this is going to scare them even more than the hard fork did before, because you got scared for a reason, and I'm not saying it was or wasn't a legitimate reason, but the people that were scared and that sold Bitcoin back at like 1,000 and didn't buy it back at 1,000, this should scare the shit out of those people, because this is scary. It honestly is scary. The idea that 70% of mining equipment can be turned off because one, unstable CEO potentially working with the Chinese government, and yes, I'm speculating, but it's my job to speculate, can turn off your miners, with the click of a button. And hopefully there'll be a patch for this. Hopefully people will, force Bitmain to open source the code of their miners. But hey, it probably has to do with proprietary chip manufacturing. Look, what do you want me to say? If you spent a bunch of money on shitty mining equipment, whose fault is that? Right? You're the anarchist, right? You're the libertarian. You don't want rules and regulations. So you bought a bunch of mining equipment with backdoors and a kill switch in it. Good luck. This is what you wanted, right? And we need to even out the playing field. And if it gets evened out with a proof of work change, killing all ASICs, and it's back to one CPU, one vote, so be it. So be it. Maybe I'll mine for the first time in my life. Okay? Probably one of the smart decisions I made. Never wasted money on mining. All right? Though I did come to the space a little late where it wasn't really profitable to mine at that point. All right. On this note, I'll go ahead and take your questions, guys. I'm not going to scroll up the chat. So if you've left me a question earlier, I am not I'm not going to scroll through a chat. It's been a long week. I'm pretty much burned out by 4 p.m. Because of trading, because of my trading this time of year. So I'll just take a few questions. I'm about 45 minutes into the video, so let's see how it goes. Do I trade altcoins? No, I don't touch altcoins. For what reason? I'm not an altcoin trader. I'm not gonna. That's not my specialty. My specialty is arbitrage in the equity options market. That's what I trade. The moment I buy an altcoin, it'll be the all-time high for that altcoin, and it's going to crash. Is Litecoin done? No. Why would Litecoin be done? Litecoin is about to get SegWit, and it'll test Lightning, and look, I'll say this, and don't take it as a positive. If you go back and look at the Crypto Scam episode 2, it was about Litecoin. And in that episode, I gave Litecoin a 3% chance of long-term survival. That means I think there is a 97% chance that the value of Litecoin will be 0 or close to it long-term. Now, that's a lot more than I give any other currency, right? Like I'll give Monero maybe a 1 to 2% chance of not going to 0. And I give everything else a 0.01% chance of going to 0. Sorry, of not going to 0. My bad. Ethereum, 0.1% chance of not going to 0 in the future. Okay, so my chances for Litecoin being 3% of survival is kind of significant. So that means I give Litecoin a 3% chance that if something happens to Bitcoin, a Litecoin will be the future of cryptocurrency. And the only way that would happen, here's a but coming. But this will only be true if the top 20 Bitcoin core developers stop developing for Bitcoin and start developing for Litecoin. So if all of our core developers migrate over to developing for Litecoin exclusively, I will give Litecoin a 3% chance of survival and beating Bitcoin. 3% chance. Those are my probabilities. So it's pretty damn low, okay? And I don't see our core developers going to Litecoin because like Luke Dash Jr. calls Litecoin an outright scam. And I understand his point, okay? So it's not happening. It's a good test net. This is a good question. Had insider information on AntBleed and could have traded on it. I guess that's correct. I could not have traded on it because I don't have any accounts to trade Bitcoin on. So no matter what insider information I am told, it's useless for me to trade on because I have no trading accounts. Also, I have absolutely no idea how the market is going to react to this information because it's not obvious to buy nor to sell. Okay? Some things are obvious. I don't know, if you're given insider information that the next block is going to have more than 12.5 Bitcoin, yeah, that's probably a bug and that's probably a sell event, right? But this kind of insider information, and honestly, it's not, I wouldn't even call it insider information. I mean, a bunch of people know this. Someone is doing the research here. Someone is testing it. People always know information. It's not even insider information. And there's no such thing as insider information in Bitcoin, by the way. It's just information. And there's nothing I can do with it. I don't even trade the damn thing. So if anyone, if anyone wants like a view on shit or spreading the word of important information, I'm probably your guy because I have no means to trade on that information. And I only had about an hour heads up. I was just happy that it got published before anything went out, before I was doing the video, so I can talk about it. And just so you know, this wasn't hidden. This was released to everyone in the world as soon as humanly possible. What program do you use to trade? I use Interactive Brokers. Guys, you got to start questions with a capital word question. Otherwise, it's going to get lost in the chatter. What besides Bitcoin is worth investing in? To be honest, I don't even know if Bitcoin's worth investing in. Because if Jihan turns off the miners, Bitcoin might go to zero. This is why my attention is devoted to the stock market, because I have a backup plan. I hope you guys have a backup plan. I mean, look, Bitcoin is an experiment. Absolutely no other crypto coin is investment worthy, with the potential exception of Bitcoin. And even that is risky. And now you can, feel bad for not investing in Bitcoin when it was under $1, but it was a dumb investment back then. I looked at it back then. It didn't make any sense. Okay. I mean, yeah, I missed out. Could have been a millionaire, but most people that buy lottery tickets end up broke. This is why lottery is for poor people. This is why lottery is, all the lottery sales are in, black neighborhoods. They're in poor neighborhoods. Okay. Because poor people play the lottery. Rich people don't play the lottery. Okay. Middle class people almost never play the lottery. Here's the only time I ever played the lottery. And this is the only time middle class people play the lottery. When the people at your job pool together to buy a bunch of lottery tickets. The reason why you play the lottery, the reason why I always contributed to my work lottery pool, like when there was like a New York City jackpot, $100 million, right? And somebody at work, usually an administrator, says, I'm going to go to the bodega and I'm going to buy tickets. Who wants to chip in? If everyone chips in, the same amount, I mean, you have that much of the pie. I always contributed the average amount. And here's why. Because if there was some miracle and everyone at my job wins the lottery, I don't want to be the one idiot that didn't participate. Okay? So that's the only time I play the lottery. I would never play it by myself. Now that I don't have a job, I would never play the lottery because it's a losing bet. Okay? So all of these altcoins, they're losing bets, okay, in the long term. And if you bought Bitcoin early, you got lucky. You just got lucky. And if you don't admit it, that's unfortunate because you got lucky. And most people that get lucky end up losing all their money. And this is why if you look at articles of what happens to lottery winners, jackpot lottery winners, 10 to 20 years after they've won the lottery, most of them have less money than they did before they won the lottery. Not only do they lose all of their money, they go into debt, okay? Because people that just get lucky, they don't know what it's like to invest. So this goes back to the question, how come I don't trade altcoins? Because that's not my expertise. And I'm not going to sit there in private chat groups trading on private knowledge. That's just not how I trade. I trade technically. I trade without insider information, and I try to trade arbitrage. And when I make 5 to 10% on a trade, that's a good gain for me, and I'm out. I don't take long shots for 2,000-3,000% gains. That's not how I trade. I trade for 10% gains, and I'm doing okay. How does SegWit on Litecoin affect Bitcoin? Well, we talked about this a lot. It'll prove that SegWit is a stable piece of code that will bring Lightning to Litecoin, and hopefully it brings SegWit to Bitcoin faster. All right, next question. Have you ever considered a potential military intelligence applications of cryptocurrencies? Delivering funds to agents in the field. Yeah, I don't see why government agents wouldn't use Bitcoin, to pay informants, and I don't see why the military. I mean, chances are the military probably already used Bitcoin for their purposes, or they may not have. Bitcoin isn't all that anonymous and all that private. But when Bitcoin gets a second layer that is more private and anonymous, yeah, why? Of course, military would use it as a currency. Why do the Chinese charts look more bearish than the USD exchanges? Well, because the Chinese government came into the Bitcoin exchanges and no one's really using them, and people are back to buying Bitcoin on the street. It also shows you that the Chinese were never really trading on Chinese Bitcoin exchanges all that much. It was mostly Americans that got scared after the Chinese government came into the exchanges office. And I've been saying that for a long time. I never considered Bitcoin in Chinese yuan to be a credible Bitcoin price. It was somewhat always useless, and I never trusted their value. All right, let's see. Next question. What percentage do you give Bitcoin? I don't understand that question. Next. Do you think silver will moon? No. Thomson Reuters stepped down from providing London silver benchmark. Nah, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter who's providing the benchmark. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, the silver will do what traders want it to do. I mean, there's a lot of money in paper silver trading. And if they're all selling futures, then silver is going to go down. If they're all buying futures, it's going to go up. Whoever is providing the benchmark and the close is kind of irrelevant. They'll skim a few pennies. That's it. At what price level do you think will trigger old sellers and altcoin holders to flood back to Bitcoin? Honestly, I don't think it's going to be a price. I don't think price is going to be the trigger. Oh, wow, I just lost my place in the chat. I don't think price is the trigger. I think SegWit clarity is going to be the trigger. Once it's starting to get like with Litecoin, like price wasn't the trigger for Litecoin going up. It was SegWit. It's all SegWit. It's going to be SegWit and the removal of Bitmain as being relevant to the Bitcoin space. The moment Bitmain is on the verge of being eliminated as a company, or it'll bring huge clarity to the space and people will rush in. It's not a price level. This can happen at 2,000. This could happen at, Bitcoin can fall down to, 1,100, 1,000, or it can happen at 5,000. I have no idea, but it's not price dependent. It's speculators realizing that SegWit will eliminate ASIC boost, and people get their miners free of Chinese spyware with kill switches in them, apparently. How do you own Bitcoin if you don't trade it? I'll let you think about that. It's not a difficult question to answer. All right, let me see here. If Litecoin SegWit passes, Litecoin SegWit has already been passed, guys. It's done. It's on. Litecoin is locked in for SegWit. will price crash or shoot to 100? It's not going to shoot to 100, but it's not going to crash either. I mean, I think Litecoin will stick around in current area, probably go up a little bit. It becomes a little more of a useful test net. People are going to want to play around with Lightning. What is your opinion on different BTC pooling sites? I don't really have an opinion. If you want to mine in a pool, you want to waste money, that's fine. How did Tether even maintain 1-to-1 ratio since it can be traded freely against the dollar? Well, people were easy. I mean, I never thought it should have been 1-to-1. I always said there was risk. It basically meant that people had confidence that they can buy Tether, send Tether to Tether the company, send the Tether token to Tether the company, and they will wire you the money of the Tether that you gave them. But because the money is in Taiwan and they are currently having trouble wiring money, the value of Tether falls. If the wire issues disappear, Tether will come close to 1-to-1 again, but it'll never be 1-to-1 again because people will be scared that they'll never get their money for the Tether. How do you feel about the Fed having a trading desk? It's a conflict of interest, so I don't like it. If your backup plan is silver and gold, that's a bit unfortunate. I recommend having a different backup plan. If your backup plan is silver and gold, that's like having a backup plan of having 10 flood insurance policies on your house. And then every full moon, you're out in your backyard praying for a tsunami to destroy your house because you have 10 flood insurances on your house, and you will be a millionaire because if your house is worth $300,000 and you have 10 insurance policies, you will make $3 million the moment the great flood comes and destroys your house. That is the backup plan. That is your backup plan when it's gold and silver. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin Unlimited hash rate increasing the past days? I have no opinion. Segwit is 10% behind. Okay, guys, Bitcoin Unlimited has no freaking hash rate. No one is mining with Bitcoin Unlimited code. It's an outdated piece of crap. No one is using it. They are mining with Bitcoin Core segregated witness comparable code, but they're telling you that they want Bitcoin Unlimited. Okay, if you don't understand that, who's the fool in this equation? All right, next question. If Bitcoin stays in its trend channel, what would its price range be at the next halving? I don't know, probably about $10,000, maybe 20. Best guess. I don't know if I feel like pulling up the channel. When's the next halving? 2020? That didn't do anything, did it? I hit extend right. Oh well. Um, yeah, I have no idea. No clue. It'll be high. Let's put it that way. All right, let's see any other question. How much time does shitcoins have left? I don't know, guys. I don't know. No, nobody knows. But there's nothing there. There's no usefulness there for any of them. No, but nobody knows how high they'll go. All right, let's see more questions. What Bitcoin? I think I already said I don't know what I'm not going to answer pooling sites. I don't know. That's not. I have no idea what that is. Someone says, I know you trade a bit on precious metals. Do you hold any physical? Yeah, I hold a bunch of physical because I was a gold bug, buying gold at a bad time. So yeah, I'm sitting on a bunch of not a bunch, but I'm sitting on physical gold. I'm sitting on physical silver that I would sell, but I don't want to take a loss. So I'm gonna wait. I might have to wait like 5 more years to sell it at a profit, and it will always be a loss. It'll probably always be a loss. I think that whatever money I used to buy my physical gold and silver, I will never ever beat the stock market if I had bought it at that time. So I think I was buying my metals in like, I don't know, 2000. I mean, not around the same time I was getting into Bitcoin or before Bitcoin. So like 2012, 2013, I bought physical gold and silver, and it was one of the stupidest things I've ever bought. And I would sell it right now, but I'm too stubborn to take a loss, even though I probably would do much better if I sell it right now and put it all in the stock market. But I'm just going to hold on to it. And I don't know, maybe there will be a giant catastrophe where my entire family loses all their jobs, and there'll be some gold that I would then need to protect with guns and ammo. I'd rather use the guns and ammo and take someone else's gold if that's the scenario. But yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, no, I'm if someone is willing to pay me what I paid for that shit, sure. I'll sell silver at $35 an ounce right now if someone wants it. How many new users will Bitcoin adopt coming in August? I don't know. I think there'll be like a bit of a Bitcoin bubble once SegWit is realized. Once SegWit is realized, I think there'll be a Bitcoin bubble, and a bunch of people are going to come in and they're going to lose a bunch of money. I mean, they'll watch Bitcoin crash. I mean, I bought my first Bitcoins on the bubble to 260, and then I saw my value lose 75% right after that. So yeah, all of us buy on the bubble. I charge the same. I charge 0.1 Bitcoin an hour, and we can talk about whatever you like. I can, with some people, I talk about altcoins. With some people, I talk about Bitcoin. With some people, I talk about the stock market. Nothing to do with Bitcoin at all. And with other people, I just, talk to them about the basics of trading and helping them learn basic technical analysis. Pivx is not better than Bitcoin. That's just silly. Oh man, I just lost my place. Yeah, these chats are weird. Hold on, guys. Let me get back to where I was. Hey, Samuel Reed. Man, haven't spoken to you in a while. Um, Hope BitMax is doing good. I'm looking for more questions here. Man, really miss Rich when he did that stuff for me. Could AntBleed feature be hacked from the outside and triggered by a hacker? I think Peter Todd tweeted something out that yes, that's possible. And I wouldn't be surprised because this is what happens with all backdoors. They're completely insecure. So yes, probably, but I have no idea. This is not my area of expertise. I can tell you that in general, any backdoor tends to be accessed by a hacker, and that's how hackers usually get in, which is why your shit needs to be encrypted and secured, and you need to, and companies that are providing stuff need to, secure things for their clients. Because when they create a backdoor for themselves, at the same time, they create a backdoor for the hacker. It's just the way it works. But I don't have the expertise to actually answer the question. Someone says, can I take a technical analysis class for stock trading and use the knowledge towards cryptocurrencies? Well, yes, but not cryptocurrencies, maybe Bitcoin and maybe Litecoin. There's no technical analysis for a pump of a token you heard of yesterday that people are just pumping to sell it to the greater fool. I mean, technical analysis won't help you. Like, my skill set is technical analysis. So me trading penny stocks is technical analysis is kind of useless. Trading altcoins, unless it's like the top 5 to 10 altcoins, technical analysis is just useless. It doesn't help you. Technical analysis also doesn't help you in traditional stock markets when your stock is like 2-3 cents. It's also useless, right? But yes, everything that I show on this podcast is irrelevant to the asset itself being traded. Do you agree nothing can replace the Federal Reserve? Yeah, pretty much. We're kind of stuck with it. Just got to do the best we can. I can tell you what happened if you get rid of the Federal Reserve. Stock market would fall about 70-80%. If you have a lot of gold, that's exactly what you want. But remember, everyone you know and love will lose their job and probably will, try to kill other people for the gold or for the food, really. When am I going to do a crypto scam on ZEC? What's ZEC? Is that Zcash? Oh man, no. You know what? Ethereum is next, and then probably cloud mining. And I was gonna do Bitcoin Unlimited, but I don't even think it's necessary. And then probably like Monero, and then maybe Ethereum Classic, and then maybe Zcash. Like, I don't think Zcash is all that important. How much bigger is your leverage, assuming you're certain of BTC price rise? I don't know what that means. I don't have any leverage, guys. I don't trade Bitcoin. What hardware wallets do I recommend? I would recommend hard wallets in the following order: Trezor, then Ledger, then KeepKey. All right, looking for more questions here. What is your mental crypto ratio? That question makes no sense. I have no idea what that means. Have you ever traded Ichimoku clouds? No, I have not. I have never traded them. I somewhat understand them. I never was a big fan of that trading method, so I never took the time to fully understand it, because when I was learning technical analysis, that was one of the things I never really learned. So if I never learned, I never used it. And then when I was already a professional trader, I didn't care for it because I never learned it when I was starting out. And now I did learn Elliott waves, and from the very beginning, I realized it was the worst possible trading method I have ever seen. So I think Elliott waves is one of the dumbest things in the world. Is it fair to say you analyze based on technicals, but consider some fundamentals in your projections? Yes, that is very fair to say. But I also try to separate the two. I can tell you why I think something is bullish technically and why something, why you need to be careful because of for fundamental reasons. Do you think the AntBleed news was purposely released just prior to activation of SegWit on Litecoin? No, this kind of news was basically released. Well, releasing this news pre-activation of Litecoin is actually somewhat dangerous. You really want this to be released after the activation of SegWit on Litecoin, because I believe Bitmain makes most of the miners for Litecoin as well. And they probably also have this backdoor with a kill switch. So if you piss off Bitmain too early, they might, kill the ability for you to activate SegWit on Litecoin. So, so if this was if anything, you want this news to come out after SegWit on Litecoin, but the news is so important, it needs to come out as soon as it's available, but not before it can be somewhat verified, so that it's not pure FUD, if that makes sense. How is Bitcoin market cap compared to silver market cap? It's not really. I mean, Bitcoin market cap is larger than the silver market cap, but they're not the same, guys. Precious metals and Bitcoin are very different. The days of using precious metals as a currency are long gone. The digital age removed that. Now, precious metals can still be, used as a store of value. They could still be, used as signals of wealth, but the days of them being currencies are gone unless we lose electricity. If we lose electricity and we lose the internet, then gold and silver can once again be a currency. The problem is you'll have no one to spend it with, because without electricity, the 1,000 or so nuclear power plants will melt down and 98% of the world will die. So there'll be a currency with no one to spend it, basically. But I don't understand how they can possibly be a currency in the digital age. I just don't. And it's unfortunate that I didn't see that until Bitcoin came along, and then it became clear. Do you think Bitmain will get sued over AntBleed? Who's going to sue them? Guys, everyone's an anarchist, right? You don't believe in courts. You don't believe in like the government, right? I mean, who's going to sue them? What court is going to take the case? That's not happening. The system, I mean, we're policing ourselves, right? We got to get Bitmain out. Stop buying their damn hardware. Go ask what do you call them? Bitfury to sell you hardware. Yeah, I am hating on gold a little bit. I mean, look, when the charts turn bullish on gold, I'll be bullish on gold. I was bullish on gold 3 weeks ago. I put on a bullish trade on gold. I treat gold as another, tradable commodity. I treat gold like I treat coffee. I don't really I don't give it any more or less relevance. I didn't have time to watch the tax plan. I knew that Trump wasn't going to speak, so I knew it was going to be a bit of a dud. I knew it was going to be a sell event. And look, Trump is going to keep trying to lower taxes, and that's good for the stock market. And the stock market is going to keep going up as long as they feel that Trump will one day lower taxes. Yeah, a 5 to 10% allocation to gold and silver is fairly reasonable. That's fine. But if you put all of your wealth into gold and silver, what you're hoping for is a catastrophe. And I don't, right? So you and I are at odds. I like being able to walk outside and not get shot at. Unless I'm going to the ATM machine, the Bitcoin ATM machine in Staten Island. Then I should probably wear a bulletproof vest. All right, let me see. I lost my place here, guys. I may have skipped a question or two, so. Yeah, I am a fan of Milton Friedman. You haven't heard me discuss NEM because I've never discussed NEM, and I'm not going to start now. NEM's a joke. Yeah, if anyone else wants to volunteer on Wednesdays to put questions together, it looks like Rich has a job. On Sundays, he does it for me. But if someone else wants to volunteer and compile questions and then send them to me on Skype, reach out to me privately, like on Twitter or something, and I'll give you my Skype handle. Any thoughts on the Rand? I haven't been paying attention to the Rand, guys, so no thoughts. Yeah, it looks like I'm getting some volunteers. Yeah, John, like reach out to me somehow. My email is tone_LLT. It's in my video descriptions. And yeah, but I don't want like multiple people like competing. Like I just need one person, right? Like if two people are compiling questions for the same episode, that makes no freaking sense. So, when will USD collapse? After every other fiat currency has collapsed. So it will be a while. Any Bitcoin conferences coming up on the East Coast? Well, there was supposed to be a Bitcoin conference May 3rd to the 5th, but it got canceled. I was supposed to speak there. So I guess Consensus is the next one. I was rejected as a speaker, so we'll see. I'm not a fan of that conference at all. It's a bunch of fairy tales telling you that unicorns exist. I've heard Vitalik runs the risk of going to jail. Yeah, that probably me. You probably heard that from me. Can you elaborate as to why and what happens to Ethereum if that happens? You know what? I'll be talking about this on my episode of Crypto Scam, which should be recorded over the next 7 days. It's not gonna. I mean, just think about it, right? I mean, it would be a terrible blow for Ethereum's confidence. Is Jihan working for the Chinese government? I have no idea. But this backdoor sure sounds like a government thing to do, isn't it? Why are the governments stocking metals? Well, where is the proof that the government is stocking metals? As far as I know, the government's selling metals. You can buy gold coins directly from the U.S. government, right? I don't understand. Like it's. Why do you think Andreas invests time and energy into Ethereum? Is he just not seeing that it's useless somehow? I have no idea. I haven't spoken to Andreas in a while. You got to ask him. All right, guys. On this note, it looks like I finally caught up to the bottom of the chat, and this is once again a show that has gone on for exactly 1 hour and a half, and I've been keeping these shows to 1 hour and a half. Thank you. I think I almost reached 300 live viewers. I made it all the way up to like 295. If I did this video around 4 p.m., I probably would have broken 300 live viewers, but then I would have missed the AntBleed backdoor news, which is pretty important. So go ahead and check that out. I do not believe that this would hurt the price of Bitcoin. I also do not believe that this would boon the price of Bitcoin the way ASIC Boost did. So to me, this is a very critical piece of information that's going to expose Jihan and Roger and Gavin Andreessen. It's going to expose all of those big blockers, for the hostile actors to the success of Bitcoin that they are. And I think this would help in the long run. Anything that can even out the playing field should help in the long run. So I'm optimistic that Bitcoin Core will present us a solution to this problem. I don't know if Bitcoin Core was aware of this, yesterday, the day before, and they have already been working on it. I just like I said, full disclosure, I knew a couple of hours in advance that this website was being put together, and that news about the ant miners were going to come out. I have no idea how it was going to affect the market until I read this website like everybody else read. And after reading the website, I see this as neutral news. And Bitcoin will continue on its bullish trend. And I remain very bullish Bitcoin. On that note, have a good night. And please support Segregated Witness. Let's get ASIC Boost out. And then we'll solve the mining decentralization problem. It's a bit of a harder problem, but we'll get there. All right. Have a good night, everyone.